Welcome to Director's Notes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. So, here to talk about your phenomenal documentary, Is Anybody Out There? Cinema release today.
Yes, cinema and on demand on various platforms.
Amazing. So, tell me, how does it feel to have your voice out there and to have this film be recognized and, the ability to reach so many people?
I mean, yeah, it feels great. I'm very excited. I suppose I don't really know what to expect, but I've got used to sort of I know that the film already is really touching the disabled community, and that was my main goal with the film and has been such a beautiful outcome. So if it can keep doing that, I just want it to be seen as by as many people as possible. And yes, it feels amazing, it's exciting, but also very surreal.
I can imagine. So, I mean, your previous works were more sort of narrative fiction, always touching on disability as well. How did you find the move into documentary making?
I had made a couple of I'd made one short documentary and yes, a few fiction shorts. Um, I think it felt like the right time to make my first feature, and I knew I had a very unique and interesting story to tell. So I don't know, it felt natural really, and it also felt it's very much still storytelling, particularly in the edit. It didn't, in a way, it didn't feel too different than fiction.
And how did you find going into a feature? So you said, things changed in the edit. How much footage did you have? All of the things that you'd garnered.
A whole different ball game, but amazing because when I got the initial development funding from BFI Doc Society, they helped me find a producer. I spoke to a few people and ended up working with Janine Marmot, who I just clicked with right away. I just could tell that she got my vision, and me as a person as well. And in a way, because it was more professional than the project I'd worked on in the past, it was easier. I was working with the best people. Janine was amazing, and then I had an amazing DOP who was very experienced and also lovely. Editor Rachel Roberts was really amazing. It was her first feature as well. So I don't know. I think I got lucky with an amazing team.
I wanted to ask you about Sundance. The most incredible festival to premiere at. How did you come to be premiering there? What was the experience like?
I'm almost still not over the fact that the film got into Sundance. It was in January, and I went with my producer and a bunch of other people as well from the film team. It was always the dream to get into Sundance, but it was like a far-fetched dream. So I was so happy when I found out that we'd got in. I mean, the experience of Sundance was a mixed bag. It was very snowy. I've never been anywhere like that.
We're not used to that in England.
No, the mountains of Utah, like the snow was like as tall as me. Genuinely, it was. So that was a bit challenging. But the screenings were amazing. And I don't think it had really hit me how kind of exposing it would feel, but equally how it was going to touch people. So like the premiere and the subsequent screenings were really amazing. Yeah, because people loved it, and it was packed and it was wonderful.
Yeah. So you mentioned it being exposing. I mean, this is such a personal story. And I wanted to ask you, because obviously watching the documentary and then you find out you're pregnant. How did that change sort of the trajectory of the documentary and what you had planned at the beginning?
Yeah, in a way, I didn't have much planned at the beginning. I was quite open to where this journey would take me. I knew it was going to be, yes, broadly about my search for other people with the same disability as me. I also knew that I wanted to shine a light on ableism and to make it a really celebratory film, a film celebrating the disabled community. yeah, and giving other people in the community a voice, I guess. But yes, I did not expect to get pregnant. I forgot your question for a second. Yeah. I found out I was pregnant almost immediately after I found out I got funding, development funding. And yeah, it was not planned. It was not on my bucket list even to have a child ever. But I decided to obviously continue with the pregnancy, and I realized that it had to be in the film, that it was clearly going to add something. And then as I got more and more pregnant and started reflecting a lot on my own childhood and my own mother's experience of being pregnant and how she must have felt when she found out that she was pregnant with a disabled child, and things like that. Yeah, it suddenly, it felt like it was meant to be actually for the film. It felt really relevant. And it's also amazing that I've got, my son's birth is in the film. It's amazing that I can show him that when he's a bit bigger and things like that.
The birth scene is incredible. I mean, that is so intimate. That's so personal. How did it feel having cameras there and knowing that it was going to be in the film?
Yeah, I don't know. By that point, it was just not a question in my mind. I was just like, I hope they let this happen because it has to happen, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. It was just, yeah, I wanted it. Maybe I'm an exhibitionist. I don't know. But also, I come across so calm in that scene. And actually, I was like, what you see is reality. I was, obviously, it's a snapshot, not the entire birth. But yeah, I was so ready to meet him. And having Janine and Anne-Marie there, so my producer and my DOP, they were like family by that point. So it was really special and funny. It was obviously, it's kind of hilarious that they were there.
Yeah, it almost, there's a surreal element to it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It comes through, which is beautiful. So you mentioned Anne-Marie, and that was something I wanted to speak to you about. Like, the whole look of the film is stunning. How did you two work together and sort of develop a shared language and work on the tone that you wanted?
Yeah, Anne-Marie is amazing. I really, really, really love her. We met, yeah, obviously very early on. And again, just she was a mum and I was pregnant at the time, and we just clicked. And she's very calm and intuitive. And I barely had to direct her. Like, she's just such a good cinematographer. I never felt like she got under my feet, which is funny because people really annoy me and get in my way all the time, but she never got in my way. Yeah, she's just amazing. She's so, yeah, intuitive, I guess. I always knew that the film was going to have like a sort of patchworky feel to it. I always knew there were going to be lots of different elements. The video diaries, obviously, the archive footage, childhood home video footage of me as well when I was little.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that it's sort of really rough, and then you get these, the really beautiful shots from Anne-Marie. I like the contrast.
No, it's beautiful because, I mean, documentaries, I think they offer so much, and you really beautifully play with the form and sort of give us all these different themes, which is something that really comes through.
Thank you.
I mean, talking about the footage, so the home videos you've got are amazing, and I love the archival footage. Were there things that you found that were upsetting for you as you were looking, to promote disabilities and to, in this ableist world that we live in?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's interesting, actually, because for the first time in a long time today, I was thinking back on some of the archive that didn't make the cut. So I was thinking, my editor and I watched loads and loads and loads of footage from disability history, basically. There was a lot that was upsetting. I mean, some of it's in the film. There's a girl who's in a brace or whatever to have her body stretched, and she's sort of crying in the original footage. And Kevin, of course, which is such a happy story at the end. But little Kevin, I say little Kevin because he's a child in the earlier footage. His story is amazing. But yeah, just hearing that hearing how little faith his mum had in him and his future was heartbreaking. But the really upsetting stuff, which is what didn't make the cut, was stuff from institutions. I mean, it was, yeah, so brutal and devastating. And also devastating because I know that there's still like homes for the disabled that are like that. Not all, obviously. I'm sure there's many great ones, but you know, we've heard on the news in recent years about abuse in care homes and stuff, you know. It's not completely gone away, and that made me very sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that we were going to use some of that footage to kind of illustrate loneliness, because that's a lot of what was communicated in that archive. But it actually just felt too sad. Ultimately, like for the film, it felt too sad.
No, fair, because the film, I mean, the overall message is so uplifting and so empowering. So no, I think, you know, the stuff that you've got in there is really beautiful and works. But no, it's interesting to hear about the decisions you made there.
Thank you.
What about the reaction that you've got? I mean, obviously it's overwhelmingly positive, but you know, as you well know, and as we all know, we do live in still a very prejudiced world. Have you had negative reactions?
I suppose I should be bracing myself for negative reactions now that the film is so widely available. Literally today, yeah, that's the thing that I was just thinking about, is I wonder if I'm going to get any hate. I'm sure I will, but whatever. Anyway, I have had, you know, a couple of bad reviews or whatever, but that I always get told not to talk about, but I can't help it.
I think it's good to look at the wide spectrum as well.
Yeah, it's fine. It's real. I've had, mostly amazing reviews and great reception. There's a couple of bad ones, and the bad ones is I find them just ableist, so it's sort of fine. They're kind of defensive, like it's a defensive response to the film that they've given in these bad reviews, saying that I'm annoying and arrogant and whatever, and I don't care, because I mean that's a compliment to me. When do disabled people ever get called annoying and arrogant?
That's a great way to see it.
But yeah, to be completely honest, I rarely like a review, even if it's like an absolutely shining review, 5 stars. I don't like it. I find them ableist, even if they're really nice. For the most part, I think that it's just so deeply ingrained, you know, like using language that really doesn't sit right with me and with the disabled community, and I guess it's slightly missing the point of the film, I guess, but that's obviously not all of the reviews. But yeah, I thought it was, I just think it's interesting that, it's hard to get it right, and ableism is just so deeply ingrained in all of us.
It is. I mean, it's something that I myself, have been exploring since I watched the documentary, and it's made me think about my attitudes and, my prejudices as well. And that is such a phenomenal power, that you've made a film that makes people think,
Thank you.
No, honestly, I really am in awe of that.
Thank you so much.
I mean, how long did everything take? So, you started the process, you've got your video diaries, you go over to the US. What was the length of everything?
Yeah, it was over 4 years. Over 4 years. And I knew it was going to take a long time. Part of the reason that it was quite so long was obviously having a baby and then COVID, but that didn't, as you know, that didn't stop me continuing making the film, just slowed things down a bit. And yeah, I do think the film is richer for being over a large amount of time. I think, the personal changes I go through, River growing up and stuff, it's all kind of interesting and relevant to the story.
Yeah. Has River seen the film?
Well, he's only 4.5. He hasn't, but no. Yeah, he hasn't. I think he'd get bored. I'm going to save it till he's a bit bigger.
Fair. I mean, he'd probably just be like, oh, that's me. Get
He's on telly though. He saw me on Lorraine, which he found, well, apparently he just smiled the whole time. I don't know.
Oh, that's so lovely. That must have been a real surreal moment for him as well.
I don't know. I don't think he's ever surprised. He's like, Mummy's doing something crazy again.
So again, another congratulations on your BIFA nomination.
Thank you. It's actually 2 nominations.
Nominations. I mean, obviously the BIFAs, it's, you know, all about British film. It's about independent film, you know, everything you embody. What do these nominations mean to you?
Oh, it means loads. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's such an honor. And I was out with a friend when they were announcing the nominations. Yeah, I don't know, like everything in a way has just been such a wonderful surprise and is so surreal, but equally it kind of feels right. And I am very ambitious and I'm sort of like, yeah, that makes sense.
No, good. I mean, you need to have confidence in your own filmmaking.
I know, yeah, no, it means loads. I'm really, really excited. I'm excited for the awards due. And I just, yeah, anything that will get people to watch this film,
Yeah.
that's my goal. I just want people to watch the film.
Yeah. So what have you learnt as a filmmaker from making, you know, this feature documentary?
I've definitely learnt loads about my strengths and weaknesses as a filmmaker, in a good and helpful way. I I knew I wasn't super technical, and that was confirmed. And equally, but that's why collaboration is so amazing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really helped me to develop and solidify kind of a distinctive voice as a filmmaker. And I think I met up with one of my old film tutors the other day. Well, he hosted a Q&A in my hometown, which is really nice, which is where I went to uni, Norwich University of the Arts.
Oh
His
yeah.
name's John Wells, and he said it's amazing to see, yeah, your identity as a filmmaker. Like I could see and feel it so much in this film, like, remembering the films that you made at university. And it's true, it's been really kind of validating and a confidence boost to make something that feels so exactly as I imagined it.
Yeah. And so what are you bringing from the making of this documentary and whatever into your next work now? And what are you working on?
Um, what am I bringing? Well, I am bringing, yeah, that grown confidence and also creative collaborators. I'm working with Janine Marmot, the producer. She's producing my next film, which is my first fiction feature film, which is a historical drama about the life of a court dwarf in the 1600s. So it's about his journey to overcoming his own internalized ableism and finding community with the court fools of the palace. So it's like this disabled theatre troupe, and he's an artist for the Queen, and he sees himself as above them. And he kind of loses favor with the Queen, goes and lives with the menagerie of curiosities and fools. And yeah, he falls in love with these disabled people. So very similar themes, but totally different setting. It's going to be, yeah, mental, I think.
It sounds so cool. What
Thank you.
research have you had to do to make that?
Um, I have a script editor who has a history degree, so he's been quite helpful. I've read some books about, yeah, being court dwarfs of the time, some novels, some fiction. I mean, non-fiction. There's, yeah, some famous court dwarfs from the period. But I'm really playing with history. It's not in any way historically accurate. I mean, it is in some ways, but I don't care about the details. Like the whole palace is going to burn to the ground, which sort of did happen, but it was like 50 years later, so I don't know. Yeah, and I'm writing that for the BFI at the moment.
Amazing. I mean, just this is so good. It's such a pleasure to speak to you, and it's amazing. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely chatting.